In its simplest form, a website is really just a collection of HTML files and assets. Assets can consist of anything from images to CSS to JavaScript files. In this example, we're going to create a simple web directory structure. When creating a website, the first thing that I do is create an assets folder. Within this assets folder, I collect all my images, my CSS, and my JavaScript. You can also put other assets within this folder. One example would be Swift files from Flash. In this example, we'll just do CSS, images, and JavaScript. Once complete, all of the HTML files can go into the root directory. The root directory is the main directory of the site. In this case, I've named the site my site. The two files that I'm going to be using as an example are an index file and an about us page. Naming files is pretty easy. All you need to do is take some best practices in mind. One thing is to use dashes or underscores instead of spaces. Spaces are not URL friendly and will result in odd characters in your URLs. An index file is what most web servers see as a home page. This can also be default.html, but in most cases index.html is what is used by web servers as the home page. Your home page could really be named whatever you want it to be, but you would need to make sure that the web server was set to point to that file name. Index files could also be the home page for a specific section. Instead of having an about us.html page, we might want to create a subdirectory called about us. And then within this subdirectory, name this index. And then this way, anytime that somebody types in the URL with about us at the end, it'll automatically call the index file as the home page. The other nice thing about this is that you can group files within certain directories. So say you have an About Us section and you have a project section and you have HTML files that you want to be the same name. It's possible to do this within two different subdirectories. But if you were to put all of your files within the root directory, that would not be possible. For a very basic website, putting your HTML files within the root directory is fine. But once you start to get more complicated in cases such as that, it's a good idea to start using subdirectories to solve these common problems. Once your web directory is set up, the next thing we'll want to do is start coding some HTML. To get started with an HTML5 document, all you really need to do is know the doc type, which is always the same. You'll need an HTML set of elements. The body, which is where all of your content goes. So this will be all of your web page content here. At its simplest form, this will do the job. But the head is also a common element to include. And this can include a title for your web page. And you can also include other metadata and include JavaScript files, CSS, and other such assets in this area. There are a lot of ways to edit HTML files. And there are free programs and there are more complicated programs that offer code hinting and other valuable features. In this case, I'm using a free program called Text Wrangler, and this can be downloaded from the web. Once this code is in place and we save the file, we can view this in any web browser. You can even view it locally on your own computer just by double-clicking the file. This is a good way to preview your web pages without having a web server. As you can see, the content that I typed into the body of our page is showing within the web browser. If we wanted to create a simple navigation to link this home page to the About Us page, we could simply go back into our HTML file and we'll use the nav element and add in href, and this will create a hyperlink, and we simply type in the path as it is within our web directory, and then we'll create a link back to the home page. And then I'm going to copy, save this, open up our About page, paste that in here, and then underneath our nav, I'll identify this with an h1 tag, which will be our header for the page. So then this way we'll know what page we're on. And then I'm going to go back to our home page and do the same thing. Now with that saved, we can go back into the web browser and refresh that. So here we're on the home page, and if we click About Us, it'll bring us to About Us, and if we click Home, it doesn't work, and that's because the path is incorrect. We need to go up one directory. Otherwise, it's just reloading the index page within the About Us section. So I've updated it in the About Us, and I accidentally updated it within the home page, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to go back into a web browser, refresh it, and now I should be able to click back and forth between each page. Another thing we could do here, since the index is the home page within the About Us section and within the root directory, we can simply remove that and just by calling that subdirectory, it'll know to pull up the index page.